My name is Max Benbow, and this is my dad, Scott Benbow. Today, we're going to be talking about his experiences living overseas in Palau. So tell me why you decided to move to Palau.
I was practicing law in Boston for a couple of years after law school, and I didn't enjoy it very much. And started to look for interesting work overseas, and then ended up in the island paradise of Palau after that. It's about 500 miles east of the Philippines and about 500 miles north of the northernmost islands of Indonesia. So it's really far away from here.
What was your job and what did you do in it?
I started out in the Attorney General's office in Palau, working as an assistant attorney general. And then for part of my time there, I was the lawyer for the president of the country. And I ended up also working as a lawyer for the Minister of Justice of Palau.
What is the most interesting project that you worked on?
The president called me into his office and asked me if I knew anything about diplomatic relations with other countries. And he told me that his administration was going to be entering into formal diplomatic relations with the Philippines. And he asked me to draw up all of the necessary documents that would enable Palau to begin diplomatic relations with the Philippines. And it turned out that a delegation arrived from the Philippines that Friday. And by the end of the weekend, we were in formal diplomatic relations between Palau and the Philippines.
So you mentioned diving. Where did you like to dive in Palau?
It's a dive that had just about everything you could imagine on a tropical scuba dive. You would start out at a place called the Blue Hole, which was the entrance to it was about as large, maybe a little bit larger than this room, and you'd sink from the surface of the ocean through this blue hole. It was probably 50 feet from top to bottom. At the bottom of the blue hole, it would open up into a massive underwater cave. So you'd dive through the cave, and then you'd come to a place at the end of the dive called Blue Corner. It was a pretty intense ocean current at that place, and we'd actually take these hooks and hook them into the parts of the reef that were safe to hook into, and then those were tied around our waists, and we would just sit there for maybe 10 minutes watching the sea life in front of us. Often when I was at Blue Corner, I would have sharks longer than you are tall about this far away from me.
What was the most beautiful thing you saw while diving?
Some of the fish in Palau had colors that I can't even describe with normal names of colors because they were so vibrant. I also did a lot of night diving with a flashlight. And when you're night diving and everything is completely dark except what's in front of your flashlight, and you get even different vibrant colors that way.
What do you think the biggest issue facing the ocean right now is?
I think the biggest issue with the ocean is pollution. And I think that a big part of that problem is that regulating the use of the oceans is so weak compared to the damage that can be done to the ocean. I studied marine law, and I practiced a lot of marine law when I was in Palau, and it's really difficult for a tiny country like Palau, and even a huge country like the United States, to protect its fishing areas from outsiders, from people coming in and just plundering the ocean. And when I was in Palau, friends of mine who worked in the Attorney General's office prosecuted cases against fishermen, Chinese fishing vessels that illegally came into Palau waters and tried to steal fish and then get out. And we would catch them constantly and learned the contents of the garbage gyres around the world, and learning that 46% of it is fishing equipment, fishing nets, was just astonishing.
How do you think we can help the ocean?
Being aware of what we're taking out of the ocean and how we're taking it out of the ocean is really important. The amount of litter and junk in the ocean is astonishing. And the ways that fishing companies are taking fish out of the ocean is just incredibly irresponsible.
So thank you for allowing me to interview you. For the Bay Area Video Coalition, My name is Max Benbow.